Good evening, everybody. Thank you all for coming tonight. This is Lethal Sales, and the topic tonight is retaining customers. My name is Rhonda. I'm not sure why, but I get to introduce you to Larry Feldman, and here he is.
Here I am. First of all, I appreciate everybody joining in with us tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about customer retention since everybody seems so freaked out with the markets changing. And I just kind of think we're right back where we started, which is, don't focus so much on what everybody else is doing. Keep your people happy and roll from there. Before we jump into it, we got Peter Smith also on this broadcast. And last week, everybody, Peter told us the horrifying story of the car accident he was in when he was 16. Spent about 5 years getting put back together. Brain bleeds, everything you can possibly imagine that could happen to a human being that's terrible. And guess what? He's still the most positive guy I ever met. So it still comes down to, like everything else in our lives, being positive or negative is a choice that you make. So I'll get it started, and then we'll go around the room. We got a lot of good people on, and we got some good people are going to be joining us as soon as they figure out the link. As you guys know, I just go back to the old school basics. I think you act like every customer is the last one you're going to ever have. You don't look at them. You'll like this, Thomas. You don't look at them as annoyances. You look at them as annuities, because they know a zillion people. It's just as easy when somebody says, what a beautiful car, to say, man, and I had a great salesperson, rather than don't go there, they're terrible. I think if you keep these people on top of mind and be a presence, you can't go wrong. And let me throw one thing out here for retention. There's my man, Jeff. Jeff, you don't have to put the hand over the camera. We know you're in the witness protection program. One of the things, Paul, that I like, because I'm 700 years old, is I like handwritten cards, because nobody does them anymore. And the problem with the holidays is when you sell as many cars as I did, as I brag along, it's a pain in the ass in December to start writing out 9 million cards. So one of my suggestions always to keep your people happy and top of mind is every time you sell somebody a car, heck, it's June. If you sell them a car today, fill out a holiday card, put it in your drawer, and then when you get to December, all you have to do is go back to the office and hit the postage. So let's smile at people. Let's make them sure they understand we care. Let's be a presence. Let's make as many service appointments as we possibly can. And I figure that's a great way to retain them. Thomas, I don't know too many guys that are more friendly and personable than you. What are your good ideas for retaining customers?
Good ideas for retaining customers. Cookies.
So a heavy set guy wearing a t-shirt is now going to tell me about cookies. Paul, he turned it into a Girl Scout meeting, and you're going to want to hog all the Thin Mints.
I mean, after all, I work for a company that sold for $5.5 million and started out with cookies. And he left it.
Okay. What was the company?
Ely. Hugh Hathcock.
Okay. All right. So it started with cookies. What was, when you got involved with people, I'm assuming, and I don't want to put words in your mouth, that one of the reasons you were able to retain customers is you were responsive. If they had a problem, you were on it. Because I think one of the most insane things is, hey, Brian, we're there to take their money. And then when they have a problem, we're like in the witness protection program. So just like with an individual sale or a big company like eLeads, if you're responsive, if they know they can get you if there's a problem, because we all want somebody to reach out to us when we're strained or have a problem. So that's great. Any other, because that's dynamite, Thomas. Anything else that makes any sense?
Well, there's all kinds of programs out there. I like the handwritten card. I'm an old school guy like you, and I love the idea of the handwritten note, and just throw it in your drawer, and then come back, holiday time, and send them out. I think that's the personal touch we're missing today, because everything's so fast. Emails, text message. I mean, emails are almost getting pushed to the back of the line, because the text messages, 90% of those get read instantly.
Yeah, but here's the problem,
I would
Thomas.
incorporate.
And I'm with you. If you tell a really great joke or make a reference in a live conversation, you're funny, you're there. On a text, all of a sudden you look like a misogynist or a racist. You know, the punctuation's off or something.
Tonality.
I think everybody on this damn call will agree we need to be more in person. You know, there's my buddy Ian Nethercott. Awesome. I was just with Ian in Las Vegas.
Las Vegas, Nevada, baby.
Las Vegas, Nevada. There was
How did I miss both of you in Las Vegas? I don't
It's
understand.
both of us. Both
You were
of us,
hiding behind that pole. I saw you both hiding behind a pole. I came.
No,
right-
that was the pole at the strip club. Ian
Oh.
Ian is starting a Canadian program to help young women confused about their sexuality. God bless you, Ian, for your good work.
Oh, Larry, I got a story I got to tell you. So
ahead.
there's a billionaire here in town who used to own a bunch of car dealerships. Okay, he's originally from China, mainland China. His name was Michael Ho. So he had to sell his car dealerships because what he was doing, which is crazy, is he would pick up ladies of ill repute and then decide that he could help them permanently by imprisoning them in his house, and they arrested him for it. And he's like, thought that was okay. I'm not kidding. Look him up, Michael Ho. Anyway, go ahead.
First car dealer that's ever happened to, I'm sure.
Oh, it was crazy. Crazy story.
You know,
I
lately,
see. Hold on for 1 second. I see we've got my friend Wendy. I don't know if everybody on the call knows Wendy. There isn't a better liked person in the car business, and she's the BDC queen. Wendy, we're looking for good strategies to help retain customers, and then we'll jump to my buddy Jeff.
Perfect. And you want one from me?
Girl, I want 2 from you. Are you
How
kidding?
about give them a good quality customer experience for one?
100%.
There you go. There you go. How about our buddy Jeff?
Other one, Larry, I think, and this is just my opinion.
Ian, you're not going to top the story with the billionaire with the hookers in there.
Okay, yeah. I don't know. Maybe answer their question in quick order when you do a campaign, or maybe target your campaign so you're not targeting everyone in the universe.
So if anybody's taking notes,
what was
if anybody's
hilarious
taking
to
notes,
me-
Ian's point is answer your damn phone. Let the people
whatever
know
it
that
is,
you care enough.
whatever. But more importantly, and this just used to drive me nuts when I did websites, do a quarterly campaign that makes sense for your dealership. Pick a target, whether it be service, parts, seasonal, whatever. Think about that. But more importantly, put it in a long-term strategy so you do it every year at that time and measure it, right? Don't target 20,000 people, target whatever, 5,000 customers, but do it every quarter in different ways. So that way you can retain those customers and drive revenue. That's all you got to do. I actually just talked to my mortgage broker, and this used to make me laugh when I sold cars. After you sold the car, did you sell accessories every single time? No. Why? Oh, I'm afraid I'm going to have to discount them. Really? You should be selling them every single time. But more importantly, why aren't you selling that after the sale if you didn't? Oh, whether floor mats, roof rails, seasonal special, whatever that might be. That's my.
I love it. By the way, if you're looking in the chat, Rhonda just put up pictures of cookies, which means Thomas is not going to be paying attention at all. We've completely distracted him. Jeff, you were coming up with a good idea when we jumped off to Wendy. What's your thought about how to best to retain customers, please?
well, I have 2 thoughts kind of post sale. And I think some guys are afraid to call people on their birthday. You know, they'd rather have that automated CRM email go out, which I never look at. You know, and I'm still getting one from a dealer I bought my wife's car from 6 years ago in a different state. So that's how well they know me. But, you know, I
traded it 2 cars ago.
it's just like, you know, that a lot of salespeople are afraid to call 2 days later, 3 days later to follow up.
Stop. I don't mean to be rude, but you just misspoke, and we can't have any misinformation on lethal sales.
Okay.
People that are afraid to call people on their birthday can no longer be called salespeople. They can be called order takers, morons, whatever you want, but not salespeople. Because if you
mean the
can't
$1,500 phone, they're
What's that?
afraid of that?
Yeah, they are. It's fear of the phone. What was your second one, Jeff?
Second one is, and again, I jumped on right when you said you were personally selling 250 cars a month, so you couldn't keep up with the thank yous and the birthdays, but joking. I like to think about something, and my client base is quite a bit smaller and manageable, but to give them something personal that they can look at every day on their desk or something, or to use your baseball analogy, buy something for their kid that's a, baseball piece or something, right? To give their kid. They're going to remember you for that. Box of cookies. Yeah, man, that's cool. But, they're gone the same day, usually if the other salespeople see them, but something that, like, I bought one of my big clients. He was just got his pilot's license. So I bought him this wooden propeller to stick up in his office on the wall. And I'd like to say he thought of me every time he came in the office, but I don't think that was true. But, something personal like that, because hopefully, something, again, echoing Larry, about their kids, about their family, about their likes. Are they a big Tampa Bay Rays fan? Send them a hat. It doesn't have to be something that costs $50.
Yeah.
But I think
Hey,
something.
Jeff, but you understand that the CRM is such a potent tool, and yet so many salespeople don't use it intelligently. They don't put in the extra information. How cool is it to call somebody and say, it's Larry of Colonial? Oh, what can I do for you, Larry? Nothing. I just wanted to congratulate you on your daughter's graduate. There's so many tools that we have. You got people like Wendy that connects every damn dot with BDCs. You got people like Ian Nethercott and Jeff Polo. Almost everybody on this call I've met, how? Through Jeff and Ian. So connecting dots, not only isn't it impossible, it's more valuable than ever, because nobody talks to anybody. Nobody connects with anything.
And
it's
so simple, and Larry, you and I still need to have a meeting, but, my platform can actually call the salesperson at 9 a.m. in the morning and say, hey, you have a follow-up with Larry Feldman. It's his birthday today. Oh, and by the way, he's a big Red Sox fan. To connect this call now, press 1. Boop.
Exactly.
How simple is that?
My realtor every year, and it's simple, but it's every year. And I think it's 3 places now. Anyway, every year she used to send at Christmas one of those poinsettias, those red, whatever those things are. And basically they'd have them delivered. Like, it would be couriered to your house, like, every year. I mean, I don't know what those things cost, but I'm assuming a realtor. And then she's like, okay, then she'd alternate that in chocolate, like with her logo on it, whatever, big block of chocolate, which I if you're going to do chocolate, don't do cheap chocolate. Like, don't do pot of gold or something.
Yeah, but Ian, you mentioned the cost. What's the cost of losing a customer? What's that cost? We didn't hear from Paul. There's my man, Brian Maxwell.
Especially, I'm gonna point something out, because I know y'all talking about chocolate in the card. I mean, today it's even less excusable, because, I mean, think about it. Somebody might have already said this with your Google calendars, the calendars on your cell phone. How many times have any of us on here got a phone call or just a text message from somebody we haven't heard from in 6 months, maybe a year, and you just like, wow, just the fact that they thought of me. And so all of these things that, let's say if you're the new salesperson or you're somebody not selling very well, you don't have the resources to be able to send out cards or buy roses, just a simple text message. And even if they don't have phone service, if they in an area where they have free Wi-Fi and they get a Google Voice number, they can use that to text people. And that's just in case anybody sees this and they say, damn, man, my phone is off. I want to just do the text thing. How can I do it? They can get a Google Voice number, be in any place that has Wi-Fi, and they can still set it up to stay in contact with customers. So you cannot have any phone or any money today and still stay in contact with customers as you build up that base. Definitely.
Rhonda, I want it noted.
Postcard. I sent a postcard, and the reason I did it was the dealer would pay the postage, and I would send postcards out every week, and I'd make them silly and funny. But the reason I would send them is because everyone opens it. Because how often do you get a postcard today?
Right.
This was like years ago, but I could print them smaller. They were less money. I'd make a funny image on the front of them. I'd handwrite the back, or you could have it printed and signed, whatever. But I would send them out every week to 100 people.
Those are still used in real estate.
The response, it was stupid.
In real estate to this day, they still send out the letters. They call it the yellow letter.
Yeah.
My wife got one for one of her properties recently where it's the same crap that I saw 25 years ago, but it's still getting people to respond because the fact that, I mean, they got all the other mail they might not look at all. But
Yeah.
this seems like a personalized message from somebody.
Yeah.
I want to see what this is. And it generates business. So yeah, you're right. The postcards
Hey,
were just
hey, Brian, we also have the esteemed Paul Brobson on.
how you doing,
and
Paul?
So,
Hey.
Paul, let's hear a good idea, my brother. You're everywhere talking to everybody.
Brian had a
What's
thought
good
too,
idea
Larry.
for customer retention.
Okay, I'll defer to Brian for a second. He's younger and more handsome. He's got, even though, keep it short, Brian, I don't have much time left.
Well, I'll couple things out there that we really focused on when we were working with Lincoln and driving the new luxury consumer experience. With one is kind of philosophical, can get a little bit tactical as well, but focusing on the employee retention, right? ESI equals CSI. If we're building great employee experiences and keeping people around and great operations from a standpoint of a talent operation, that makes customer turnover a whole lot less. Because if you're keeping, employee turnover drives customer turnover, because you're not even able to build a relationship if you've constantly got new salespeople. So that's one, but there's a lot to that, right? As Larry, I mean, we talk about, recruiting, onboarding, training, talent systems, all of that. You're talking about complete organizational change. That's a lot of work, but it's still something we should all be focusing on, number one. And number two, just from a tactical perspective, is we're trying to drive a lot of service opportunities with retention. I think the salespeople should be involved in the first couple of service visits, helping make sure they get their first couple of service visits not only scheduled, but when they come in, you greet them for their service visit as they're having their oil change done, and you
Yes,
follow up with them to make sure that it was done correctly.
Brian,
You want to mention, if you care about something post-sale, 3 months, 6 months down the road when they're getting one of their services done, it's going to leave an impression with them.
Hey, Brian,
go
ahead, Brian.
I was just going to
them
say that as a step in the sales process that I train on, when a rep brings a customer back from a demo drive, rather than do the typical thing and walk them over where the customer's ready to go back and forth, a step in the process that I train on is they should walk the guest or customer, potential customers' initial contact with service should be with the sales rep, not post-sale, pre-sale,
Right.
because it can actually be used to build value. It's, using it to assume the sale, and you're actually introducing them to the person who may help them out. So I totally agree with what you're saying as far as the driving service, and I think it should be a step in the sales process across the board.
There's no question.
Jump in?
Yeah, just one thing. What Brian said made complete sense. The only exception, Brian, was the thing about keeping employees. As a recruiter, I encourage people to leave as often as they can and as much as they can. Okay, I'm looking at another big screen TV and some more leather furniture.
Oh, hey, Larry,
Well, it's funny. We used to.
Hold on, I heard a hey Larry. Who was that?
that was me.
When we sold the Hondas, what we used to do is we had to do a service walk as part of that delivery process. So what we did is the service was closed in a lot of cases because most of the deliveries were in the evening. So what we did is we got these paper cutouts, like full size of the service writers, and they had like a pocket with the cards. We go, oh, here's Johnny. He's not here right now. But he looks like this.
Ian, did you also have them call the people the next day?
I don't know if they were that advanced. They were a Traver store. They might have been, but at the end of the day, I basically told the customer, listen, you got a service question or problem, you need an appointment, you call me. This is my number. This is my home number at the time. You call me, I'll work it out. I had calls
Wait.
after I sold cars with things like, oh, I need an alarm code for my car. No problem, I'll handle it. Like
Okay,
10
hold on.
years later, they were still calling me.
Ian just struck gold. Now let's dig a little deeper into the psychology of this. If it's not in your DNA and in your ironclad process to take people back to service, if they're not comfortable with service and feel warm and fuzzy and they don't go into service, we're right back to where we, on almost every program I'm on, where we lose the people through service, which means not only do we lose the back end, we lose the front end customer. There you're talking about the ultimate loss of customer retention. And we didn't think we did anything wrong, but we did the worst sin. We didn't show them that this is an inviting place, that we can handle everything, that we're competitive with everybody. It's the same. It's the flip side of not emphasizing tires and oil changes, and they go somewhere else and you never see them again. Hey, Ron, we didn't hear from you. If anybody knows, Ron owns Spirit, Chrysler, Dodge, but we call him the Galloping Gourmet of New Jersey. He's in the kitchen cooking away. Tell us
What's up,
a
Ron?
good retention point.
So I just sent something in the text. Chrysler used to, back in the day, would hold a workshop where we would sell the cars, and then we would set a time where we would actually invite them back, and you would meet the service manager, writers, maybe a technician, and we put donuts, coffee, whatever, and we would actually go over the vehicle with them, and and this was before technology was like half of what it is today. And it's funny, I was just thinking about this. I'm like, man, we haven't done this in decades. But I remember it was part of customer one or part of what they were asking us to do. But we would actually get, if we did it twice a month or, twice a month, you would still get, 10 people, 10 customers coming out. And they were genuinely interested about their car, their service, how it worked. And it's funny just thinking about it, that's something that, obviously we got away from, but I thought it was very personal. I was a lot guy when they were doing this. So I remember, having to get the shop cleaned up and we had a good response, either do it in an evening or even a Saturday morning. So that was something that, just kind of thought about that we haven't done in a while.
Ron, my buddy Zach McVicker just jumped on. I want to hear him, but I just have a quick question for Wendy. Wendy, how much of what you're teaching people is tying in with making them understand that it's not just, here's the car, I took your money, but keeping them in touch, kind of pushing them to the edge where they understand how important it is to be personally involved?
I mean, it's the basis of the training and it's the end. It just everything involved. You have to start with the empathy when you're trying to earn their business, and you have to be, and I teach them, you see in my post too, I'm always putting people, hashtag people helping people, hashtag stronger together, because they have to ultimately start out knowing that they're helping the customer who's helping, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And we have to talk to one another, as, Jane and Jimmy or whatever, instead of, a BDA and a potential customer and everything else. We have to humanize the whole experience, I guess, is what I'm suggesting.
Okay, listen, I want to jump to Paul and then Peter and then get our buddy Zach in. But let me just say one thing. One of the reasons that Wendy is so effective is she's sincere. And what she does really comes from her heart. A lot of people say, oh, I love you to death. They hope you drop dead tomorrow. If we can make salespeople understand how to be empathetic and how to be sincere, and let's face it, we're all on this call, we deal with a lot of people. How many times did the dealer say one thing, and by the time it's like whispered down the lane, and the way they treat their employees and their customers is completely the opposite. All right, let's hear from Paul and then Peter and get our boy Zach in here, please. Paul?
Hey, thanks, Larry. So a couple of things, going way back to earlier discussion. One thing people tend to like and don't have on their own is we become accustomed to using all digital calendars, but people like to still have a calendar, physical calendar somewhere in their office, in their kitchen, whatever, and write down something as without having to go to their phone and set up an appointment.
Paul, can you see?
Okay. But if I had one branded with trusted sale on every day, so so something that you use and see every day was
best thing from NADA notebook. Best giveaway thing.
Yeah, that they're good too.
100%.
I have an expiration date once they fill up.
Always. Yeah.
But there's lots of those kinds of ideas. What I wanted to say is I also wanted to agree with the comments before that Jeff was talking about, around how people kind of value the relationship and the service walk. To Brian's point, we're working on something now, Larry, as you know, that kind of tries to keep you constantly in the purview of the driver, kind of something that while you're in the driver's seat constantly makes you think about, other than just the old oil change reminder sticker. But not to push or promote anything here, but that's I think there's lots of unique ways, but the most important thing, as I see it, is that the next 3 to 4 times that they come to your store, they're going to the service department. So you want to make sure individually as a salesperson that experience is as smooth. And again, you know, is as you want to make it like the Disney experience as opposed to the Six Flags experience. In the Disney experience, you're in a line, but you don't feel like you're in a line. If it's hot, they blow cold air on you. If it's cold, they blow warm air on you. There's TV monitors to entertain you with songs and dancing characters, and you're getting excited as you get closer to the time. When you're at Six Flags, you're up against a rusty chain. People are cutting in line. You know,
Hey, Paul.
It's not just the one in Jersey, by the way.
Paul.
You know, so I advocate that you train that customer and you guide that customer and make sure they stay within those velvet ropes that you create for them. And that will assure that your long-term retention, when you want them to come back and buy their second, third, and referred 5th car, that you're the one they choose every time.
Okay, Brian, you sound like you had a comment, and then let's get our boy Peter Smith. Zach.
I did real quick, and again, it boils back to just the basics of psychology, and it goes what Larry said, and I said it earlier. It has got to be implemented as a mandatory step in the process, and here's why. If we can't convince a sales rep to feel comfortable with somebody that they've already been spending time with, they're never going to feel comfortable walking over to greet a random stranger who didn't come in to even see them in that department. You know, so that's why when people say, why don't you go out there and get the service leads? Hell, they weren't even comfortable walking somebody who was potentially a buyer over to the service department. Why? Because they may not have been taught or shown the value in it. They really don't see how it's just another step to help you increase the value in yourself in the store. And it helps your salespeople see the value in service. When they see the value in service, they can become more comfortable with it. And, you know, it goes on and on and on. So I believe everybody's saying the right stuff, but how do you convince owners or general managers or managers of stores to implement this when everybody's on that traditional, 10-step to the sale? And I go in stores and I'm looking and I'm like, listen, the only deviation from mine is just slightly, but that service walk, that dealership tour is mandatory after that demo drive.
All right, listen, we're going to jump to, 3 things. We're going to jump to Peter and then to Zach. And if any of you are wondering why you can't see Brian Maxwell right now, very unusual circumstance. You've heard of like Facebook pulling people. His shirt was so bright blue that Zoom actually pulled the picture down. Very scary. You thought I was lying.
He doesn't know how to use the mute button.
No, now they took.
Brian, we just had 3.
Oh, my bad. No, I was saying one of my chickens came in and like took a poop on the floor because my office is in the back of the house and my chickens and my dogs. So I don't, you know what I'm saying? I don't want anybody being able to put that on social media and have a clip of, Brian's chickens flying around and pooping.
Brian, we had 3 visually impaired people that just directly messaged me and complained about the shirt. Okay. and when I'm telling you something's loud, it's loud, brother, because it ain't like I'm a quiet guy.
All right, no, this is good. This is a good blue.
Peter Smith. He gets cranky if we don't call on him, and then my boy Zach.
First of all, Larry, it's not visually.
Hold on. Now, do you see Brian? He's a Canadian. He's nice and laid back. Okay. He's got the little sweater on. He's gonna go kill a moose and wrestle him to the ground. Go ahead.
It's not visually impaired. It's visually challenged. You gotta get with that woke crowd, right?
Right. He thinks he's going to handle the funny crap. Just make your point. Let me torture everybody.
So just quickly, we've all been in this business for a long, long time. There's a couple things that I look at retention as being one of my top topics. We have to start looking at the customer experience and giving them the customer experience that they demand for the average selling price of a car in the United States is $50,000 today. They need that customer experience to match up with it. We've been, for the last few years, doing a transactional sale in a relationship business. The only way we get relationship out of this is we give them an incredible customer experience. We always remain top of mind to them. We build that trust that they refer their friends, their family, their coworkers back to us, and that's where retention comes in. And It's a cyclical process. And if we do it right, we're there. We have the tools. We have Brian Moates' company, Repair Pal, for the service department. We have the data company from Tim Hayden with Brain Trust. We have all these different tools available to us that we didn't when Larry and I started 40 plus years ago. And we were using Rolodexes and micro.
Whoa. What do you mean 40 years ago? You diapered me. Remember when you babysat for me and I was calling you Uncle Peter? Wendy's trying to call me old. Very sad. All right. Enough with you, Peter. Zach.
All right. Go
Give us
on.
something that doesn't involve an overly colorful shirt or a dull Canadian, please. We
Hold
need some
on.
help.
Hold on. One last thing. Do not use the term up. I hate that term. It's the worst term in the car business. All that means is you're getting up off your ass to go deal with that customer. Never use the term up.
You mean people actually get up from their playing Candy Crush and talk to people at car dealerships?
It's like winning a lottery ticket with that. But
Zach, save us.
All about,
give us a good customer retention tool.
A good customer retention tool. So and I guess help me too. You want a specific tool, or you want like a philosophy or a process?
A philosophy, a tool, anything you want. And if for any reason you flounder or it's substantial, you send some cookies to Thomas and you send some chocolate to Brian Maxwell and everybody's happy. It's a very food-oriented show. We got Ron Baus in the kitchen cooking.
He's gone. He's eating.
And pizza.
That's low expectations. No, I honestly, as far as when you think about, I think customer retention, especially today, right? In the business today that we live in, I think customers are prepared, right? Customers are built in a certain way because of the way that we've really taught our people to handle them. And so I think more than anything, a customer retention, I mean, I think you gotta be authentic, Larry, you're crazy as shit. And you say some off the wall topics, right? But people like you because again, you're authentic and you're real. And most of the shit that you say is pretty spot on. And so I think more than anything, honestly, it's like our sales teams, they lack confidence completely. And so in my mind, for me, I guess what I would share is, really trying to truly understand the customer's buying decisions, like the motivations and really getting past a word track, getting past a process, getting past all this minutia shit that we've been taught, obviously, for so many years, and understanding the dynamics are definitely different. We have to improve our communication skill sets. So for me, that's the number one thing. You can train on selling a car, you can train on understanding inventory, you can train all of the shit, but if you can't connect with the customer, you're either going to have a hard time selling that customer, you're going to have a very difficult time on building value with that customer. And obviously the topic of what we're talking about is retaining customers. And so you really we got to build connections.
Zach, think about it. One of the top reasons that people say they buy a car is they like the salesperson. So that hasn't changed. I think my beef and a lot of people on this program's beef is that they're nice as hell to get your business, but then they're dumb enough to not follow up to try to get more of your business. This business isn't about the sale. Yeah. It's about all the attendant sales that come off of the sale.
Hey, Larry, can I jump in and just mention something super quick? And Zach, that's a great share, by the way. I was going to say, I have a question for you, Larry. Either are you painting your nails or did you hit your finger?
It was, don't ask. I was helping.
All right, never mind. Let's move on.
Dropped on my, dropped on my finger. And God loves me that didn't break my finger because we had a couple shows to play.
I was going to say,
just look what
I was mostly concerned about.
He forgot to take it off. He forgot to take it off. He was at the parades. He just scared to tell us online.
I'm okay either way. I just want to know. All right, so here's the thing.
See, his hair is done up. He was at the parade. You can be real, but okay.
Right, here's the one that grinds my gears.
Hey, show him what finger it is.
Yeah, that's right. That's perfect. And how cool would it be right now if a big alligator came and took a big bite out of Thomas? It would top off the show. We're going for ratings here, Thomas. Take one for the team. Go ahead, Paul. I'm sorry. Brian is very.
I apologize, Paul. My bad, Paul.
It's okay. Stop apologizing. Just shut up. No, I want to kid you.
Hey.
So look. Here's the thing. Okay. I was going to say it, Larry, but I didn't want to. I was going to say the Canadians talking again. Can we? What about that? Maybe put Canadian subtitles on there or something? No, here's my, no, let me.
By the way, for whoever wasn't on at the beginning of the show, the last show we had, Peter Smith told the most horrific story of being in a car accident, Brian, when he was 16 years old. For 5 years, they had to rebuild his body. He had a brain bleed. He was in a coma. So I might bust his chops, but I don't let anybody else bust his chops because the guy's the most positive guy I ever met in my life. And as I said earlier, positivity is a choice. Wendy looks like she has her hand up. Wendy, what do you have in mind? You know, we love
never got a chance to say what he was saying.
Wait, let me finish. Let me just get my thing. Let me get my thing, Wendy. I'll say. All I was gonna say is this, and I know Wendy will appreciate this. The thing that grinds my gears, and it's almost every dealership has this problem, and it's easy to identify, but it takes time to fix. And that is, we always look at what our secret shopping and call, but what about secret receipt of messaging? Think about the dealership. You know, you buy a car, 3 days later, it's got brand new tires on it, and you're getting a message from service saying, buy 3, get 1 free. Later, you're getting something from somebody saying, will you do a Google review for service? I've never even been to service. Then another thing saying, welcome to ABC Motors. How can we service you? And it's this discontiguous, we all know how it happens. Over time, people add one, hey, we should send a message when we do this. Hey, we should send a message when we do that. But nobody's actually ever plotted that nonsense out and seen how much like overlap and garbage there is. It's hard to retain customers if you're confusing them.
Paul, can I, before we jump to Wendy, let me just answer this. And I'm dead serious here. Every day, everybody on this program, and we're super grateful you all showed up. All of us fight bureaucracy all the time. It gets in the way of everything. I just said to all the guys that I recruited 25 guys the last 2 days in Virginia. And I said, the one thing human resources doesn't seem to care about is humans. They like paperwork. So I don't know. I mean, Paul Brobson is smart. We just got Brian Kramer jumping in. Who's sharper than him? But the bottom line is Einstein could come out of the grave and tie in with Elon Musk, and you still wouldn't stop bureaucracy. The antidote is to counterbalance it with being human. Pulling up, how are you doing? Hey, I just got 3 pieces. Yeah, what are you going to do? The machines are crazy, but I love you. And if I can ever do anything, let me know. Wendy, you had your hand up. What was it?
Yeah. Super quick. I want to add on to what Zach said. And also, Paul, yes, to your point, relevance in the chat. Absolutely. But Zach said something about, well, I read something by Trey Hudson today at Findlay Toyota up in Flagstaff. And he talked about how initially when he went into sales, he was so stressed about closing the customer because he was worried about whether or not they'd accept the payment that he presented. And Trey brought in a really great mindset shift in that we need to teach our sales staff. They will learn empathy by making it a more pleasant experience and less stressful for them thinking that they're selling the payment. The customer makes the choice as to whether or not they'll choose a payment. It's simply his job to know his product and sell it, present it with confidence, and do it with passion, like I do BDC, or like each of you does, whatever it is that's true to you. They like the experience, they like the industry. They're not the finance department, so they need to like go into that relationship so that they don't, maybe that's what hurts retention, because they have stress that they remember, and that's it.
Wendy, can I ask you a question and just see how you feel about this? I just want to get y'all educated thought on it. Again, I think it goes back to psychology. Think about, I can't speak for everybody on here, but most people that get involved in automotive sales never planned to do it before. And if you would have asked them what they thought about car salesmen prior to getting in it, they would have gave you really negative reviews, right? And then all of a sudden, through whatever happened, they get in the industry, but for years, they programmed themselves to think people that sell cars are sleazy, they're dirtbags, they're thieves. So now there's this internal mental battle that's going on. It's like, man, I thought these people were shady, but I'm one of them. Am I shady too? And that's why it all goes back to a complete brainwashing. And it's like Peter was talking about, I think even saying car salesman, I do it on ads and advertising because the algorithms and that's just where, but I dislike saying car sales or car salesman because there's trucks, there's SUVs, it's automotive sales, automobile sales, product specialists. And I think words have power. So I think when we're hiring people, they should never be called car salesmen. There should be another name. What do you think about that, Wendy? Do you think that the mental?
Completely agreed. It's all about mindset. It's all about everything. It goes all the way to BDC. You know, you learn the best things from your agents over the years. And somebody's changing out one word instead of thank you for calling, blah, blah, blah. She says, thank you for choosing Auto Giants, your only local dealer for the people, blah, blah, blah. So because they made an honest choice to choose us and call our dealership and a let's call it a phone op then for opportunity.
Yeah.
If you don't want to call it an op.
Hey,
But
Brian and
mindset-
Wendy.
Mindset, it's all huge. I agree.
Let me throw this idea at you. I do a 2-part class when I do recruiting for new people. On day one, I get them to think, you know, I ask them the questions like, what do you say to the guy that says, I only have 10 minutes, I got to go watch my son play ball? And the answer is not, I can do it in 10 minutes. That only works if you're a hooker at a casino, okay? The right answer is, what does your son play? And now you have a conversation. So today I sent them out at the end of the day to mystery shop and say they're looking for a car for their sister that just had a baby. If the guys were as old as me, my daughter, which makes me grandpa, all over the country. When I did it in Canada, instead of saying congratulations, boy or a girl, that's great, it's always the same thing. Their face drops. You wish you were playing poker with them. Okay, where's your sister? Why ain't she here? What's her credit like? It's insane. So I like to explain to these people who thinks they're nice. I only pick nice people. I don't want any creeps in my class. They all raise their hand. I said, well, do you understand that if you don't sell these people, one of these creeps that blew you off might? That means that you deserve to have them as your customer. They deserve to have you as the salesperson. And Brian's right about the negativity. But Brian, is there anything in life stronger than when a negative is overcome by a positive? When they turn to you and say, you know what? You're pretty cool for a salesperson. By the way, one last thing,
Larry,
shut up.
Larry,
Let me just say this last thing. I also think, okay, I made a lot of money selling cars. I'm making a lot of money doing this. I love to tell people up front I'm crazy. Crazy works because it's hard for a guy to argue with you when he's smiling. I used to love, if I got a guy that came out and he was dressed to the nines and he was coming out of a sharp car, I love to walk him up to my manager they always had panic in their eyes and say, hey, can you help me, boss? I got to overcharge this guy. He wants to pay less in taxes. The guy would start stuttering, the manager would stutter, but guess what? We just broke the ice because you're both right. There's nothing. What the hell's there to be scared of? It's baseball. It ain't another sport. You're not going to bat 1,000. If you bat 350, 400, you get rich. But the key is to make these people understand these people are us. Do you guys all know psychologically what we hate most in other people? It's what we recognize in ourselves. Brian, how many friends do you have that call everybody else cheap and they're the last guy to pick up a check?
Yeah, I don't hang around cheap people. Right, so I don't
Wendy, everybody, have you all seen this phenomenon? That guy's a cheap son of a gun. It's disgraceful. And then they get on eBay for 2 hours and try to save 3 cents on something.
Forgot my wallet. Forgot my wallet.
Those are GMs at dealerships, aren't they, Larry?
Listen, I'm not saying anything negative about GMs. They've been cutting me big checks lately. I'm just going to pick on because he's 2,000 miles away, and if I give him chocolate, I can abate the violence. I am going
to say this though. I firmly believe that the only difference I think in a lot of the way that people deal with folks when they freshly hire them, I don't personally agree with going into the actual sales training on the first half of the day typically, and maybe not the first day. And that's even if I only have 3 days with them. And here's why. You know, sitting down and actually are getting people to open up with what they actually felt about this industry, what they know about it, what are some of the misconceptions. Y'all probably wouldn't be because everybody in this has been around for a while. Y'all know how many people work on a sales team in a dealership and still have misconceptions like their managers are the ones who dictate the monthly payments or how much the down payment is going to be, who still have certain negative thoughts, and it's just a job to them, which stands for just over broke. They don't want to be there, but nobody else will hire them. And so again, it's really, you have to be such a psychologist to be an exceptional leader today.
Hey, we got Brian Kramer who popped in. Brian, man, you ran Germain for so long. You're running around with the crazy man himself, Mr. Hollinshead. Give us a good customer retention point. And Brian, please don't say anything about Brian Maxwell's shirt because I see you're also wearing blue and I don't want any jealousy.
So
I'll say the best thing for customer retention is to have a strong play on the service drive. And kind of along with what all you guys are saying is there's this fear and this hesitation that I see all over the country of people that don't want to go out and greet customers on the service drive, or even worse, I'll sit there, I'll be in dealerships now that I'm on this side versus the other side. I guess I don't retail. And I'm like, hey, I don't think anybody's helping that customer. Oh, they're just in for service. And we know the numbers that they're going to close at 20%. And I mean, here's what we see now that I'm, we're scaling up a different way to acquire cars off service drive, is that let's say you got 3,000 ROs, CP and warranty, excluding internals. Of those, the goal should be to appraise 15% of those. So 450 a month. Now, there's a lot of different ways to accomplish that, get on that rabbit hole. But then of those 450, we're seeing a win rate, depending on franchise or actually more like segment, either luxury, import or domestic. It's different, but not much. It's 18 to 20%. So if you figure that out, let's say 20% of 450, what's that, 98, 99? That should be the number that everybody's targeting, so that that's all. You don't pay for advertising for it. They're already there, but that's how you increase retention, is you make sure that your existing clients don't go anywhere else. But you're talking about employee retention. I'm realizing now. But
both.
You want to, Brian, we're talking about both, because
both, yeah.
Earlier on said, if you don't keep, if the guy comes in looking for a salesperson, you break that continuity chain. But I'm
and service advisor
on the service. I'm the one that threw the bug in David Long's ear, and then he had to show about if you don't display tires and you lose the tire business, you lost all that revenue, you lost the customers, you lose the recommendations. Hey, Brian, we love you and your input. I noticed my buddy Troy Scheer is here. Troy, this better be a good comment, because you're following Brian Kramer, and he was rocking.
Oh. I haven't even, I just caught on right in the middle of Brian, so I need to get caught up with everything going on.
Here's what's going on. I'll make it simple for you. We lured Thomas Ieracitano on with cookies. Wendy was her usual brilliant self, and I've been mentally unstable. Did that sum it up for everybody? We're looking for good ideas to retain customers. We've already had the suggestion that you retain your damn employees, and that you get that service drive pumping. What do you think, Troy?
Well, I mean, I think what you're talking about there is just developing that relationship, consistency, and continuity. And with that, as you said, you've got to be looking at everything a customer needs. And I believe it's, this is something you and I've talked about, Larry, a bit, and with Tim too, is understanding and having that data available, that you can really understand what it is you're doing, who your customers are, and to be able to do a better job of creating that personal interaction with them. So I
Troy,
think
was it you who went back to that restaurant in Dallas, or was it Joe? I think it was you, right?
It was me.
All right, hold on. I love data. I mean, we got some brilliant people on this program. I'm the dumbest data guy on this program. It's no contest. I lose. But I was asked to meet Tim Hayden in Dallas. He wants me to help him. And he says, and I'm going to have two guys with me. Who are the two guys? Troy and Joe Boris. We toured. Brian, you never saw such craziness in a restaurant. The maitre d' came over to say, how are things going? Expecting me to say everything's wonderful. I said, well, I think the waitress is going to have my baby. How much of a tip should I give her? 10 minutes later, the maitre d' sitting at our table. He's torturing people. 2 months later, Troy goes in with his anniversary with his wife, and the guy says, where's your crew? I love you guys. It's all about being human, being memorable.
But that, and that's just it, remembering and being able to, because he knew exactly where we sat. I mean, he was able to go and he goes, here's who sat here, here, and here. And he even knew who the waitress was that evening. But that's why I say he has that. Not everybody has that ability to remember that well. And I think that's something that's maybe lost a little bit. And like you said, when you have good salespeople and good people in the business, that they start developing those relationships. And when you don't have that, that's when I say data, I just mean in the sense of being able to absorb what's going on with somebody and understanding who they are in a better way to create a more personal relationship.
Would you like the good news, Troy? The good news, I've observed this, and I bet you all have. You can make your ears better and your memory better if you focus on them. I mean, I tell guys all the time, the next time anybody says anything to your wife, your girlfriend, your son, another worker, repeat it to yourself a couple times. all of a sudden you start dialing in. And memory right now is strictly a matter of making some of the distractions go away, because we're all so damn distracted by everything we do. Has everybody seen what I've seen? 4 people sitting together at dinner and everybody's on their own cell phone.
Oh, yeah.
I wonder if these morons are all texting each other. If we combine the data and the brilliant things, that the tools that are available to us with being human. Because let me tell you something, if I started spouting to the maitre d', you know, the cut of the meat or this, okay. But because I was silly and funny, the guy fell in love with us. You had to see it to believe it. But Thomas does it every time. Okay. Brian Maxwell is a character. Jeff is too good. Jeff, you either your hands up or you're having an involuntary muscle spasm. We don't have any metal coverage on this show. Go ahead.
I want to bring it back to employees, because, you know, when we hear retention, we automatically think of people we sold, you know, now, but employee retention is a hot topic now, as everybody knows. But why shouldn't these same exact things we're talking about doing for customers, why shouldn't we do those for our employees? You know, if the GM is the maitre d' and the managers are the servers or whatever, you know, why don't I know that about my employee? And
that's because, hey, Brian, you're going to like this. You might have thought I ran out of craziness. Very quick story. I went to South Carolina. Brian, I realized quickly I had 60 people in the room, a big dealership group. And I realized I was the only Jewish guy, Brian, for about 100 miles. Not only was everybody wearing a cross, the dogs were wearing crosses. And the guy had already paid me a big check. So I figured I'm going for it. So I opened up by saying, Jesus Christ would have been the greatest used car manager of all time. The guy started to have a stroke, Brian. Oh my God, who'd I hire? I held up my hands and says, wait a minute. Jesus invented servant management. He washed the feet of the disciples. Okay. If you nurture your salespeople, they'll nurture your customers. Brian, someday when we're not censored, just you and me, let's talk about the filthy names we were called in Saturday morning meetings. They beat us down till we were a protoplasm and then said, all right, now go out and sell some cars. Sell some cars. I want to go to the post office and shoot people. I'm sorry, Jeff. I got a little excited there.
No, and I like it. So no apology. But I think too,
you liked it when I got excited. What happened? Your phone sex girl quit?
Well,
Brian, you got to screen these calls a little bit better.
Management and companies need to look at their employees as customers. And I say this all the time. You know, when I sign a client, I said, you've got multiple customers. You've got the people that you've sold product to, and you've got your employees, and they have different needs, different wants, but they have a lot in common too. And why wouldn't we treat employees like we treat our best customers? Because just like you said, if we don't have employees that are thrilled to come to work, you know, and not with their heads down, but with heads up and waving to people when they drive past the service drive and stuff.
And it's not even an act, Jeff. And it's not even an act, really. I mean, it's the it's the factual truth. Because what is it that management or leadership is selling? They're selling to these reps the reason why they should come in every day, why they should give a good effort, how them being here and helping this company is somehow going to be beneficial to them. So it's an ultimate sale, you know, from that perspective. And, you know, hopefully everybody can see. I think it's catching on, you know, partially, and that's kind of a good thing. I think that everything has gone so woke that even people who were sensitive before are just getting to the point to where even they're just over it, and we're gonna get back to just being able to just be people and engage with each other and dialogue and whatnot. But I truly believe that good leadership never feels like they're off the sales floor, out of the sales game. If anything, they're just at a higher level, another tier of it, and have to do it on rather a product now as people.
Larry, with your coaching, Larry, thank you. My son Derek had an interview at Lexus yesterday, and the service director and the service manager came in and spent 2 hours with him, walked him around the whole place. And I mean, why wouldn't I go work there? They just spent 2 hours with me and showed me how great this company is and what they do. Granted, nobody's seen a demo that ever broke, right? But I want to believe there's good there, right? And it was sincere. And
Well, if I helped him get a job, I'm going to send you an invoice, and don't try paying me with cookies. That only works with Thomas, okay? I want cash.
we'll barter.
Larry,
We'll barter.
Larry, Wendy was wanting to say something, so.
Go ahead, Wendy.
Like
I'm
the
sorry these
competitive-
guys keep monopolizing the conversation. Luckily, I'm here. Speak, my darling.
No, I don't think I think I didn't.
No,
I wanted to add something.
She
Larry,
No,
if I
I was
could.
pointing Fred because he's browning turkey. It's his turn.
Oh, I don't know if that's code for something else, but hey, Larry, I got something real quick.
That's a euphemism. I don't want to hear it. Go ahead.
So
their
I was
safe
going to say,
word.
and truthfully, a lot of this, I have to attribute to Kramer. He's here, and I believe, a lot of what he says. And, I think in today's world, there's two things we have to focus on. And one of them is taking it off of their desk. And Brian tells that story a lot. And I think from a consumer standpoint, if you want to differentiate yourself and, kind of assure their loyalty, which then in turn, results in retention, because you can't plan retention, but you can create loyalty, and loyalty will ultimately breed retention. So I think by making it super convenient and easy, convenience is the new currency in our marketplace. And I think if we start to understand these customers have a lifetime value, but that early in the relationship, we're only realizing a percentage of the lifetime value of that customer and of the vehicle that they purchased. And if we think about optimizing the lifetime value of that customer relationship and start measuring that, I think we'll have a lot more keen awareness of it. The relationship doesn't end the day we sell them the car. It truly is only beginning.
Okay.
I have a question.
Listen,
what
I'm
if
quoting my,
Okay.
let me just say one thing and I'll shut up. I'm quoting my own book.
Stop
again.
lying. No, you're not.
Yeah, but you're probably, my shut up button don't work. They're not annoyances, they're annuities. The amount of money you can make off of people by coming to your service department, by referring people, by repeating. Now I'm in Virginia this week where you can't do a bird dog, but Brian Kramer, Troy Scheer, have you ever met anybody that doesn't want $100 for sending somebody in? Brian, we've seen rich people drive their Bentleys across town to save 3 cents on a gallon of gas. Go ahead, Brian's on mic.
I got a question for Brian Kramer. Since he seems like, I think out of everybody on here, he's the one that was the GM or ran a store most recently. I saw a recent article from JM&A that said that the average dealership spends $15,000 hiring each salesperson. That's just in what they might give them for training, onboarding, and whatnot. Do you agree with that, or do you think it's more? Because when you factor in leads, deals lost, what would you say in your experience of running your store down there in Florida was your average cost per new hire that came in and let's just say blew out within the first year? What do you think the investment cost was, or the loss?
I was part of a study that did that with AutoNation. It was 45 grand.
Damn. Okay. Yeah.
Because if you figure in, there's a few things. Here's how we quantify it. What's your average cost per advertising cost per vehicle, right? And then take that, not to go too much in the weeds, but there's a real method to that equation. So let's say the average salesperson's taking 30 ups a month, right? One way or another, or how many internet leads, 65. Typically those new hires are taking their unfair share. They're getting more than the veterans are, and they're closing at a lower percentage. So when you take a baseline of what's the baseline of the ups, the opportunities, or whatever source it is, what's the baseline of the closing percentage? What's the variance up or down on those, 0 to 6, we measured it 0 to 3, 3 to 6, 6 to 9, and 9 to 12. Because that's where, typically 6 to 9 is where most of our turnover would occur.
Yeah.
So we broke it down. It was 45 grand. That's why I actually took over onboarding every associate myself. And that's really why I probably spent, and Mike Marini used to do it with every single GM. He would teach General Manager University himself. So, I did exactly what you're saying, Brian. I told him, I go, here's Gallup's perception of what you do for a living. So when you go to barbecues and you go to things this summer and 4th of July, whatever, just like me, I used to get ridiculed. Oh, so you're a car salesman and all that other stuff. I said, so your job really is to change that perception. That's on you. You're going to be the change you want to see in the world. And it starts here. So just so you know, you're already up against a brick wall. When a customer comes in, this is what they're seeing. It might not be you, but they're going to take it out on you from the experience of the Nissan store down the street. And I think that, to your point, not letting them go victim and just setting the expectations up. I didn't want to have that conversation in 3 months. So I was
Right.
very, very clear and very direct. And I told him, here's what, average looks like, and average is right where suck begins. And we're
Right.
not going to tolerate it. And a lot of people would leave in the first 3 months. They would get, it's like the Navy SEALs. They would get scared straight. And that was okay, because it was only going to get more intense.
Brian,
I
it's
think
like a
expectations clarity is the
Texas
most.
divorce. It's cheaper to keep her, you know?
But yeah, it's expensive. So we changed it to multiple. I talked to them. Had a whole. I'm happy to share, but had a very regimented onboarding process. Not just once they got started, but we had homework for them to do before they ever started. So in the 2 or 3 days while they're going background check and all that stuff's going on, we were sending them links, and I had a whole flow for them to go through. You got to do this. This is what's expected prior to arrival. If you show up and these things aren't done, then listen, we're going to wait another week. And we made that real clear, because if they couldn't do that, then we're already starting off on the wrong foot. And I wanted to know that right from the rip. Let them know that those homework, and it was their sales, one of the things, a major mistake, I think, in every single dealership, if not the number one, is you have to have a designated hiring manager. Because what happens is you hire salespeople. Who are they reporting to? Oh,
Right.
we all thought no. Who's going to be the one that's doing the one-on-ones? Who's going to be writing them up when I see that they're below benchmark, when they haven't sold a car in 8 days or 9 days? Who's having that conversation? Because with me, there's going to be one throat to choke, and that's the manager. But so before anybody got hired, my assistant wouldn't let anybody, it wouldn't submit anything to HR until the hiring manager field was, because that's who I was going to hold accountable. When you do that, then the manager's like, hold on a second.
Yeah, let me choose.
I think you
wisely.
should be on that person's team, because now they know if that person doesn't work out, I'm going to be up their ass. And that has a whole different cadence of accountability.
Brian,
Can we
that's
go Brian,
brilliant.
for
That
every-
solves the
hold
problem.
on.
That
One sec-
solves
one-
the problem of 9 managers in a circle, and they say, whose fault is it? And they all point to the right.
Real quick, Larry,
That's right.
one thing and Brian, something you said, really it just solidifies and validates why I've been able, because for years I've been trying to figure out, why do I have such good rates? But every single person that's screened by us, they're literally sent out homework assignments and links, and are given a quiz within the first hour that they are there. We ain't got into motivation. We've gotten into sales training. I have a quiz that they get. It's a 2-page quiz with 20 questions. And if you don't score at least a 70 on that, you are asked to leave right then, because what is the point? If you're not going to be motivated and do what you need to do for your own career, we can literally cut the cord here. So I totally agree. So I'm glad to hear you say that, because that's one thing that we do. They get the training videos, and it's 3 hours of things they have to watch. And they don't know what this quiz is going to be about. They got to be ready, and nobody wants to be embarrassed. So I'm glad to hear you say that. Yeah.
Beautiful. We've snuck past the 8 o'clock hour. I cannot thank everybody enough for being here. We appreciate everybody's contribution. Does anybody have any strong closing remarks?
Yeah, never. No, I'll save it for another. That's a private joke. I wouldn't do that.
Basically, what I'd like to say is lose the fear, gain the positivity.
Yeah.
Simple as that.
What are you afraid of? In 100
Yeah.
years, we'll all be dead and none of this will matter. Take your
Yeah.
shot, have some fun, turn the volume up.
The one parting comment I'll make too is, it's already started. It's not like we talk about, now's the time to get ready and this retention thing's it's upon us. It's already started, and the next year is going to be really important, especially for the people who started their career during the pandemic and didn't know any other way. If there's ones worth saving, work really hard to work on them. And if there are other ones that are not worth saving, don't work too hard on them. Just call Larry and have him get you new.
And I will say this, so for those of you who are in training and whatnot out here, Brian made another really good point. A lot of GMs that are being on the hook, especially whether they're a managing partner general manager versus an employee general manager. The employee general manager needs instant return gratification right then. The managing partner general manager can kind of play the long game a little bit and the overall success. So you better start diversifying and taking your information and recording it audio and video wise to put it out here to the internet, because a lot of dealerships and dealer groups are starting to really internalize and really close their quarters. And some of them I've seen, like, let's say Berkshire Hathaway, for a while, they had a block where nobody could work with any third party companies at all. And they cracked that recently. And I don't even know if they cracked. I know a couple of their stores, I've done business with them over the last 2 months, but I had got word that they cracked down. So just be, y'all give good content, record it if you don't already, audio, video, and put it out there. There's people out there that will invest in this stuff to make themselves better. So just wanted to share that.
Yeah,
ahead.
Wendy, please. And then our boy, Jeff.
Super quick. So I've had the Lightspeed platform forever and haven't executed. All my dealers are asking me for LMS training, right? However, this is what's going to happen now. We've got Rocked. We've got, like, a lot of my clients have the Andy Elliott modules, et cetera, et cetera. You sell them, it's all well and good. But do we have boots on the ground enforcers that are going to make sure they do that? Are they going to guarantee your staff members do 15 minutes a day for whatever influencer, trainer, whomever they're watching, so that there's consistency? We can train them up. We can teach the managers how to manage them and how to coach them. But is it sustainable? Will they actually do it? No. They're going to have a rise to whatever it is they're doing, selling or BDC, and then they're going to become complacent. And then they got to call you back in right again, which is worthless. We need to push the coaching as well as the content, because it's the human element that will win out ultimately in your customer experience that you deliver to your people.
I agree.
Absolutely. Jeff, what was your comment?
Check
Jeff,
out that camera I just shared. It's called Insta360. So this camera, I don't know if you're familiar with the DJ one that I own, but this camera, basically, you can put it anywhere. It's got AI, it's 4K, it can hook up to a desktop. You can basically do a home studio with it. Costs about $400. It's unbelievable. So essentially, basically, you can set this up remotely or in a home studio or at a show. And basically, it's like a virtual cameraman, basically, or camera lady. You can put it on a tripod. It's like $400. It's ridiculous. So check it out. It's called Insta360. The other thing, if you're a PC or Mac person, is this calldigit.com. This box, you can plug anything into it, like anything, like plug in cards, whatever. It's another thing that I found out about the other day. So just those
Awesome,
two
man.
things.
Jeff, what was Jeff Scherer? You were starting to say something and we cut you off.
And Peter and Larry, I don't know the rest of you as much, but Peter and I have had some good dialogue, and Larry and I continue to as well. But I'm a very technical person, and I always try to boil it back and take away and make it simple. So the two takeaways I have from here, whether it's an employee or a customer, stay in front of them and make it personal. I think those are two things, and the rest of it'll go behind that.
Cool. Anybody else have any parting words? Again, we appreciate everybody being on. I think we got some really good valuable information.
I would just say the two things is caring and accountability. If you combine those two things and people actually know you care and that you're holding people accountable because you care about them, and it's not just because it's what's in it for me, but that you actually care about that person. That's what I've seen as far as all the teams that I've built and developed and worked with. When they realize that you care about them and that you're trying to lift them up and do what's best for them, not necessarily what's best for you, in the long term, in the long run, that's where I've seen my success, is just by taking care of people. And then they know that you actually, so when you do have to come down on them for something, they realize it's out of compassion and caring, not out of just being an asshole.
So I got through the whole thing without being vulgar, and he said asshole at the end. You're right. I should just stick to doing like shadow puppets on the wall. Listen, God bless you all. We appreciate you. We're probably going to take off next week. Let everybody enjoy 4th of July, but we'll be back the following week. We'll be even crazier. We'll have some other ideas. We appreciate you all, and thank you very, very much. And everybody stay healthy and have a great 4th of July. Remember how great this country is. Let's be grateful. You Canadians can just be seethed with envy.
Hey, you gotta stop that speeding here.
Yeah.
Everybody stay healthy.
Y'all be safe, guys.
Close to your month.
Thank you so much for coming, everyone. Good night.
Thank you all.